Hello everyone. Please be patient with me today as I am recording a commentary video on a different software platform. I hope it helps with the audio and nothing sounds too off, but yeah, I just wanted to give a heads up so everyone could bear with me. So today's commentary is going to be about the film Monsters Inc., aka Monsters Incorporated, but everyone knows it as Monsters Inc., I'm pretty sure. So I wanted to do a commentary about this film because I used to watch this film basically religiously as a child on this blue VHS tape. And I haven't seen it in so long. When I started watching it, the music in the background and like the intro song, I was just like, oh my gosh, it's all coming back to me. And just as I was watching it, this is one thing that I really want to start off this commentary about, besides a brief summary and like the things that stood out in the scenes and shots or whatever that I liked. Pixar films still have a lot of qualities you just cannot find in any other sort of industry in general, but specifically in animation. The animation styles, the storylines, it was so innovative and so fun and so beautiful to watch. The animation and the colors popping and the plot of Monsters Incorporated having this company that basically creates energy from the screams of children, tying in sort of like that monsters under your bed sort of thing, and how by the end of the film, one of our main characters, there's Sulley, who's like the top scarer monster of the company, and then there's Randall, sort of his rival, who wants to be as good as Sulley but deep down knows that he won't be, and he's kind of a bully and really rude. And then there's Mike Wazowski, who's his assistant sidekick but also super helpful and makes his job a lot better, sort of his cheerleader and his huge coach and support system. And then we have, of course, Boo, who is the human child, who at the beginning of the film we see her as this scary thing that we as monsters are supposed to scare, but we also fear humans because we don't want to get too curious about humans and realize that none of the stuff that we were told was true and it was all stereotype and a lie from our corporate boss. It's so good. It's so good, and I love that stories like this, especially that are usually marketed toward children, have all these real implications from real world experiences pulled into this imaginary land that still has really good messages with great animation and great plot line that tells lessons in one way or another. And obviously, the things that I really noticed as I was watching as an adult is that it's so funny. It's so funny. I actually understand the jokes going on now versus probably when I was a kid. I obviously would not have known what was going on back then. And then I also had the subtitles on so I could really catch some of the dialogue and the jokes, because I kind of remember it being funny, but like, was it like kid funny where everything's kind of funny when you're a kid, or was it like kind of adulty but you wouldn't have gotten it? And I think it's a little bit of both. And I just love all the dynamics of the characters and the struggles that they go through. I mean, we're talking about friendship, we're talking about capitalism, we're talking about sort of corporate environments and bullying and elitism and lies and stereotypes and facing new challenges and things that you thought were a certain way that aren't a certain way. This beautiful weirdness of these doors coming in and the monsters going in and scaring the children, and this corporation that comes in and sort of cleans you because the humans are toxic and all this weirdness, and it works. And I think that upon watching the film again as an adult, I just sort of obviously have that nostalgia, but there's something about Pixar films from when I was a kid, and of course we always really root for the films that we loved as children, but there is something that I feel is lacking in a lot of films nowadays in Pixar, is kind of losing their touch just a little bit. You know, I had The Incredibles, I had Monsters Inc., I had Toy Story, and they were just one in a million. They're just so good. And the sequels to these films are good as well, but there's just a quality in them that I don't always see now, and I hope that that starts to reemerge and Pixar films feel less there's one thing for something to feel similar in genre and similar in that heart or style that they've once had, and it just feeling like copy and paste and copy and paste. There's a difference in those things, and I feel like in the current times, a lot of Pixar films feel very much like copy and paste, whereas back then they just had so much depth to them. And that's another debate, but I do think there is something to be said about that, and curious as to why that's maybe happening. I'm sure there are issues on the back end of having to meet certain deadlines, maybe not paying workers enough, so on and so forth. That's happening now. We just got over a writer's strike. Animation is probably going through it as well with all these changes with AI. But I really wanted to take the time, even though this is another short commentary, I'm really trying to pull back a little bit if I'm not giving as much as I would have thought that I wanted to give in my commentary. But I just want to give a small moment for people to sit and go watch Monsters Inc. again. It's so good, and it was so fun watching it, and I genuinely think that even if I hadn't seen this film before, that I would have really enjoyed it. And as I was watching it, I was sort of like, oh my gosh, my niece would love watching this, I'm gonna have her watch it. And just how adorable Boo is, and I remember thinking Boo was the coolest character ever when I was a kid, and how Sulley is like this big teddy bear, but he's also like the top scarer of the company, the contrast of that, and how Mike Wazowski is sort of like basically his own comedian, and then by the end of the film they're going from scaring children to making them laugh, and how laughter gives them more energy than fear did. It's so beautiful, and it works, and the voiceover acting was incredible. They did a fantastic job with casting, and I was just along for the ride and got sort of flashbacks to certain memories of my childhood that were very nostalgic and very peaceful and blissful for me. And overall, I really love Monsters Inc. So now I'm just going to take a moment to do what I always do, which is my quote segment, and then we'll be done for the day. And again, I hope that after that you take some time to go watch Monsters Inc. Personally, I don't know if this film is streaming on any streamers right now besides probably Disney Plus, but I had to rent it. So if you are really interested in watching it, I don't know that there's any other place besides Disney Plus that would have ownership of this right now for streaming purposes, but I did rent it online. So that's another method if you don't have Disney Plus. Okay. So here I go. Sulley. Boo. Boo. Kitty! Mike, can I borrow your odorant? Sulley, yeah. I got smelly garbage or dumpster. Mike, you got low tide? Sulley, no. Mike, how about wet dog? Sulley, yep. Stink it up. Sulley, hey Mike, this might sound crazy, but I don't think that kid's dangerous. Mike, really? Well, in that case, let's keep it. I always wanted a pet that could kill me. Thanks. Bye.